Hello everyone, my name is Samantha and I'm here to talk about David Mayer and Herbert Greenberg's article, What Makes a Great Salesman? In their article, Mr. Mayer and Mr. Greenberg talk about what characteristics make up what they call an A salesperson, or in other words, the perfect salesperson. And while there are a lot of things that I agree with them on this subject, I do believe that there are some other ways, or their ideas can be proved upon in some ways, and that's what I want to talk about in this video today. So in this video, I will discuss what other characteristics I think are important to be a successful salesperson, whether or not C sellers or D sellers, what the article calls less than efficient sellers, are really lost causes, and the importance of proper training and employee location. Alright, so first on the list is other important characteristics. So Mayer and Greenberg continually talk about empathy and ego drive as the two most important traits that sellers need to have in order to be successful. And I do agree on this, but I also think that there is another trait that is also just as important, and I think that is innovation or creativity. And I say this because in today's world of consumers that are surrounded by informations and whose senses are continually being overcrowded by information, I think consumers today are more desensitized than they were in the past. And I think it's become harder and harder to catch their attention. And it's very important for sellers of today to be able to present in an out-of-the-box way in order to catch these consumers' attention. And that's why I think creativity is a very important trait that sellers need to have as well. I think the general public still believes or has this perception of sellers in a way that's not exactly positive. And I think there's still a lot of distrust between consumers and sellers. And I think sellers need to show consumers that they are not just your run-of-the-mill, door-to-door, pushy salesperson, that they are willing to interact with customers in a way that is much more up to their culture. I think sellers of today need to understand the market that they're working with, and just being empathetic or just having an ego drive isn't going to be enough for that kind of situation. Secondly, I think the article makes great claims about what qualities make a great salesperson, but I don't agree with the idea that these qualities are innate in sellers. One of the things they quote in the article is, "You can't turn a sow's ear into a silk purse," which is a really old saying. But essentially what it is you can't take a coal and immediately just make it a diamond. And I think a lot of what they talk about is that there are these characteristics, maybe confidence, ego drive, empathy, that sellers have that they are born with. He talks about a lot of the times that these people who are the A sellers, perfect sellers, they've been working on their kind of traits since they were children. And while I do believe that in a lot of the cases this is true, I also want to point out that that's not true for everyone. And a company looking to hire some employees might not have the availability of fully staffing A or even B sellers. They might have one or two A's and B's, but the majority might be D and C sellers. And while they could try to wait to hire A and B sellers that are still on the market, I still think that this is an inefficient way to run a company where you're only looking to hire people who are ready-made. I don't think that that's a reality, that there are really that many sellers who are right off the back perfect sellers. I think that a lot of C's and D sellers can be turned into B and A sellers with the proper fixing up, I guess I would say. So I think there are a lot of things that make C and D sellers inefficient, and that could be inexperience, that could be a lack of drive, a lack of confidence. I think a lot of new sellers who are inexperienced could improve simply from having some type of leader or some type of person that they look up to show them that they can be confident in a selling situation. Not that they weren't born with the confidence, just in the situation that they are, they need more confidence. And I think a lot of times there's a lot of sellers who are complacent, and this could just be because they're bored of doing the same routine day in day, of selling the same way. And I think a lot of times these people become C or D sellers because they're just bored. And I think a lot of the times maybe all that's needed is new technology. Maybe they just need to be shown a new way of selling, or even just maybe they need a vacation. They need a break, and you need to allow them to have this break so that they can come back fresh and new. And I think that this is a lot better of an idea to improve upon these C and D sellers than to just assume you're going to find enough B and A sellers who are already made to be perfect. I don't think that's a reality. Third, what I really do agree with on Mayer and Greenberg is this importance of training and location of employees. You don't hire an accountant or someone who has background in accounting and put them in human resources. That's just not what you do. You really have to think efficiently about who goes where and who needs what training. What I don't agree on from the article is that only A and B sellers should get training. He talks a lot about how even the best diamond worker can only turn the perfect coal into diamond or such like that. I do agree that in a lot of cases that is true, but once again that brings up the issue of the availability of A and B sellers who have this perfect personality. I think what is a better idea is to taking the availability of employees that you have, and that be whether the ones you have or the ones who are applying or just in your general vicinity, and improving upon them individually. This takes much more time when you go to each seller or each employee and personally screen them for their weaknesses and their strengths, but I think in the end that this kind of technique is really worth the effort. I think it brings about more benefits, more positive externalities. It requires a more personal touch, but I think that even if you have someone, say, who is an A seller, this kind of technique could even make an A seller into an A plus seller. So, in conclusion, while I might not completely agree with Mayer and Greenberg, what really makes the best salesperson, I still think that they did a great job of laying the foundation for what really does make a professional seller. Empathy and ego drive are and will always be important traits in making a successful salesperson. I just think that the article and the ideas that Mayer and Greenberg put out can be improved upon. And that could just be because this article was made in 2006 and they didn't have the resources available to improve upon the ideas that they have. But like I said previously, besides ego drive and besides empathy, I think innovation and creativity are becoming more and more important of a trait in these emerging markets that are changing continually. Awareness of technology, is always going to be an important feature that any salesperson has, lets you have a leg up on your competition. Also, understanding that you're working with humans in the human condition, not a set of qualifications or a set of numbers. You're always going to have issues, even with your A sellers. And you can't just expect that you're going to find the perfect sellers. You need to make the perfect sellers. And the next step, if you're a salesperson or if you think that you want to be a salesperson in the near future, is to assess your own personal strengths and weaknesses, and look inside and find what you think you could improve upon. On a grade, what would you give yourself? Would you be an A seller? Would you be a D seller? Would you be a C seller? How can you improve on that? Sorry. The answer is different for everyone, but it's something that every individual person needs to look upon themselves. And I think that with perseverance and commitment and training, even a D seller could become an A+ salesperson. So this concludes my assessment of the article, What Makes a Great Salesperson. I hope everyone has a great day.